morning guys and welcome to BS2PCG Deck Forger. So for today we're going to have another great deck. So I apologize first because I'm a little bit under the weather, but still we're going to try to give you a very exciting deck, and this is using the Dark Beast. Okay, the Dark Beast from the H.A.M.M.E.R team. And Dark Beast, of course, is one of those main characters that are heavily reliant on equipment. Okay, and for this particular deck, we're going to call it the Techno Flair. We're going to try to look at the particular components, supporting characters, most special equipment, plot twists, and locations that are included in our Dark Beast deck. So try to stick with me, and of course before we go to our deck teching table, first I would like to hit you up to please like, subscribe, and follow us on this YouTube channel, BS2PCG Deck Forger. And by the way, we have already started our second season for the Build Phase League. Okay, that is the Build Phase League Philippines, and we have initially 8 players, and I think more will join here in Manila, so that we are able to come up with a very exciting season for our Build Phase League. And so without further ado, let's look at Techno Flair as we go to our deck taking table. Okay, so for our deck taking table, we're going to try to explain the components of our Dark Beast Techno Flair deck. And so we're going to go to our new demo box, and we're going to try to get one of these. And of course, on the lower rightmost section is our deck for Techno Flair, and we're going to try to explain to you what are the supporting characters, plot twists, equipment, most special equipment, and locations that consists of the Techno Flair deck. So let's try to go over this one at a time. I'll try to return our demo deck box. Let's try for please. Okay, so now we're going to try to look at our main character. So for Techno Flair, we're going to try to focus on, of course, Dark Beast from the H.A.M.M.E.R team. So let's try to look at him. So at level 1, Dark Beast is a 2 attack, 5 defense character with 5 health, and he has Techno Genius. So at the start of your turn, draw a card for each equipment on your side. So the more equipment that you have in play, including machines, then the more draw that you can get, and this particular character can go to draw most of his cards in his deck, most especially in the mid 5th turn or 6th turn of the game. And his level up condition is Dark Scientist, so to level up he needs at least 6 XP. At the end of your turn, Dark Beast gains XP equal to the total cost of equipment on your side. A little bit difficult to master because of course it needs for Dark Beast to be face up, so that is to avoid being stunned at the start of your turn so that you can gain those XP. But otherwise, if he is able to level up, then Dark Beast, still gains the Techno Genius, but now becomes a 3 attack, 10 defense character, so very beefy. And he gains his second superpower, which is the Thrill of Experimentation. So during the main phase, you may pay 1 yellow power symbol to put a -1/-1 counter equal to the total cost of equipment on your side of an enemy character. So let's say if you have an Omega Machine component, which is a 4 drop on your side, then you can put 4 -1/-1 counters on any enemy character, and that is including the main. So now that we have discussed this, now let's go to some of the main components of this deck. Actually, you have an extra set or a double set of machine components, and that is because you have Maker in your deck. And for this particular instance, for your stacks, you have an invention stacks, which includes, of course, all the normal equipment or inventions, okay, for any inventor. So you have the gadget, you also have the weapon, you also have the machine, and you also have, of course, the automaton. Plus, since you have the Maker, you have 5 equipment that you can put in your invention stacks, and these are all non-invention equipment. And of course, for Dark Beast, we will put our 4 extra sets of Omega machine components, and that is because he is the Dark Beast, okay? So, Omega machine component at 1 drop, it has power drain, so when an enemy character recovers, put a -1/-1 counter on it. Same thing, he also has on the 2 drop a power drain, which is when an enemy character readies, put a -1/-1 counter on it. And at the same time, okay, on the 3 drop, you also have power drain, which is when an enemy character appears, put a -1/-1 counter on it. And finally, you also have your 4 drop Omega machine component, and it also has power drain. So when enemy character ready exhaust, put a -1/-1 counter on it. So imagine if you are able to pull off at least 2 of these in your side during any game, and that will double the exact number of counters or penalize your opponents with -1/-1 counters that can help you control the game state. And we also have an extra copy of a Cosmic Cube, which is a 5-drop Cosmic Cube, though it's up to you if you want to put other equipments here like Nullifier, or if you want to put, let's say, any gem, Infinity Gem at 6 cost. And we put Cosmic Cube here so for us to help control the resource allocation of your opponent. So again, this 5-drop Cosmic Cube is one of a kind and shape the world. So during the main phase, you may pay 1 blue power symbol to choose an enemy location and remove it and all other locations with that name on that side from the game. So now that we have discussed your invention stacks, again, you can put the 4 other generic invention stacks on your deck, okay? Once you have an inventor, any inventor in your game, okay? Now, let's take a look at the supporting characters that make up the Techno Flair deck. And for that, we'll start with our 1 drop. And for our 1 cost, we have 4 copies of Mystic. And Mystic, of course, from the H.A.M.M.E.R team, impersonates Professor X. So she is a 1 cost, 1 attack, 4 defense character with 1 health. And Mystic has leader while Professor X isn't on a side. But what is more important for you using this card, of course, is the mutant bomb. This is to enable you to stop those early swarm decks or opponent decks like Outriders and, of course, Ultron. And Mutant Bomb at the end of your turn, if Mystic is in your front row, your main character may pay a red power symbol, and if it does, KO her and put 3 -1/-1 counters on each enemy front row character. So very good to stop all those swarms, okay? Then we also have 3 copies of Hydra Soldier. And Hydra Soldier is important in this deck, of course, so that you can play all those rifles and Cosmic Cubes. And at 1 cost, Hydra Soldier is a 1 attack, 2 defense character with 1 health and range. And they have swarm, so you can have any number of the characters on your side. This power cannot be turned off. And as a soldier, when this character appears, put -1/-1 counters equal to the number of soldiers on your side onto an enemy supporting character. So for our 2 drops, we have put in first a set of Black Dwarf, And choosing between Wakanda and Black Dwarf, we opted for Black Dwarf. Not really because we're not much of a combo deck, but we need additional characters on this deck. Since normally we need at least 30 to 32 supporting characters in a particular deck in order for you to be able to fetch you a character every turn on an average. So a 2-drop Black Dwarf is from the Super Villains team, and it's a 4 attack 1 defense character with 2 health, and he's from the Black Order. So when Black Dwarf appears, okay, reveal the top 6 cards of your deck, put a one-of-a-kind equipment from among them onto your hand, and shuffle the rest of the remaining cards, okay, or the revealed cards into your deck. And at the same time, Black Dwarf is tough, so when Black Dwarf gets stunned, you may recover him and he still gets wounded. So Black Dwarf is here to at least filter your deck, top 6 cards of your deck, so that you're able to gain access to all those one-of-a-kind equipment like the machine, Omega Machine components, okay, the Nullifier, and of course your Cosmic Cubes. And again, it's up to you if you want to replace Black Dwarf with Wakanda. It's much more sharper and more accurate for you to be able to get all those needed equipment. But then again, we'll need a yellow, so it will eat up some of your resource, okay? And at the same time, surprisingly, we have 4 copies of Xenomorph Ambusher in this deck. And this one of the more important cards in your deck because Xenomorph Ambusher at 2 cost is a 2 attack 3 defense character with the keywords Feature and Swarm, and it also has Camouflage. So this character can't be attacked while it's in your back row. So remember, Omega Machine components can only be attacked once all supporting characters on that row are stunned or leaves the game. And Xenomorph Ambusher ensures you that if there's no way that your opponent can get rid of Xenomorph Ambusher without, of course they're unable to attack it, but if they can't KO it or they can't remove it from the game by some other means, then you're assured that your Omega Machine components are safe from being attacked. And all the while, Xenomorph Ambusher also can, you can attach character cards like Proteus or even, what do you call this, Shadow King, so that you're able to KO those characters or he's able to attack from range position without the fear of being attacked back, okay, during your opponent's turn. So Xenomorph Ambusher is one of the key cards in this particular deck, and it really works its charm, okay? And also for our last set of 2 drops, we have 3 copies of Fixer, and Fixer is from the Hydra team, and he is a 2 attack, 2 cost, 3 attack, 3 defense character with 1 health. He also has Soldier, so when Fixer appears, put a -1/-1 counter on it, equal to the number of soldiers on your side onto an enemy supporting character. And what's good about this, of course, is it has Techno Genius also, so at the start of your turn, draw a card for each equipment on your side. So same with Dark Beast, so this can double up your drawing power on your turn depending on the number of equipment that you are able to survive, okay? And we also skip the 3 drop and the 4th drop, and it goes straight to our higher drops. And initially we also have 4 or 5 costs, 2 copies of Isabel, and I think everybody knows Isabel already. She's a 5 cost, 5 attack, 5 defense character from the Praise team, and she has 1 health and range. Same with Xenomorph Ambusher. Isabel has Sniper Nest, so Isabel cannot be attacked in the back row. So an enemy player may turn allocation with a blue power symbol face down during their main phase to turn off this effect this turn. But without any blue power symbol, then Isabel cannot be attacked. So very good to protect also your Omega Machine component. And I watch him die. If we are able to squeeze in any earth location, then Isabel can, okay, put a +1 attack +0 defense bonus, okay, for her, to her during any combat for each character in your KO path. But normally we just use Isabel here really to protect your Omega Machine component to execute your Techno Flair combo. And speaking of the combo, of course, we now go to Viper. And we have 2 copies of Viper in your deck. At 5 drop, she is from the Femme Fatale team and she has 4 attacks, 6 defense. Okay. Stats with 1 health and range, and she has Poison Dart, so you may pay any red power symbol to put a -1/-1 counter on up to 2 enemy characters. And with that, okay, she can let them succumb to poison. So at the end of your turn, double the -1/-1 counters on each enemy character. So this is really one of the essential part of the Techno Flair combo. So once your Omega Machine components are out, then you can they're already protected by H.A.M.M.E.R or by Isabel. Then you can drop in Viper, and now they can succumb to the poison, and those -1/-1 counters will now double each turn. Okay, so going to our 6th drop, we have 2 copies of the Maker. And the Maker is here, of course, because you need to have access to your invention pile and for you to be able to drop in or get your hands on those additional copies of your Omega Machine component. And at 6 drops, he is from the Frightful team, and he is a 6 attack, 8 defense character with 2 health. And he has multiversal omnipresence, so you may include up to 5 different equipment without invention in your invention pile. Only the Maker can invent them. And of course, we had discussed a while ago that you have 5 of those, and those are 4 of each one-of-a-kind machine, Omega Machine component, and any extra copy of an equipment that has no invention. So it can be an additional Nullifier, it can be your Darkhold, or it can also be an additional Serpent Crown. It's up to you, but for my deck, I use the 5th drop Cosmic Cube. So a very good addition to this deck. Okay, and going to our 7th cost, we have 2 copies of Nightmare for our 7th drop. And Nightmare is from the Underworld team, and he is a 7 attack, 7 defense character with 1 health and flight. And he is a Waking Nightmare, so enemy characters can have and gain -1/-1 counters while stunned. So remember, Dark Beast can already put those plus -1/-1 counters once he goes to level 2. And sometimes the problem here, of course, is you cannot end the game right away, because if an opponent gets stunned, then you have to wait an extra turn for you to be able to again penalize them with those counters. But then with Nightmare, you can still put those -1/-1 counters even if they are stunned, they are hidden, or they are dazed. So a very good addition to this deck, and very powerful enough so that you can end the game right away. For additional board control, we have also 2 copies of Shadow King. And Shadow King is from the Brotherhood of Mutants, and he's a 7 cost supporting character with 0 health and 0 defense and 1 health. Okay, and he has Anchor Host, so if Shadow King would appear, remove him from the game instead. And when he's removed from the game, choose a face-up character on your side to be the host until he gets stunned or leaves play. And Feast on Your Terror, if Shadow King's host gains at the end of your turn, KO an enemy supporting character. So very powerful to control the board state, and normally attached to Xenomorph Ambusher or Isabel. And finally, the biggest drop in our deck is the Omega Mutant Magneto. And Magneto at 8 cost is a 10 attack, 10 defense character with 2 health, with flight and range. And he has an Omega level mutant, so you cannot include other Omega level mutants with other names in your deck. So it's a choice between having Magneto or Proteus in this deck, but both can work well. But I decided to use Magneto because it's better, because he can recover, fetch, and destroy enemy equipment all at the same time once you recruit him. So with Mastery of Magnetism, when you recruit Magneto, you choose either of course, you can get to choose to look at your opponent's hand, destroy or KO any equipment, or discard any equipment from that. Then you may KO an enemy player's equipment. Then you may search your deck for any one equipment, and also your KO pile. So those are 2. Then you may again attach or play any equipment, okay, on your deck without paying its cost, from your hand without paying its cost, and at the same time they do not, okay, have those team affiliation restrictions. So very powerful for an equipment based deck, and I decided to use Magneto for this particular deck. So those are all our supporting characters. Now let's go to our equipment. And basically we have three copies of the Hydra Assault Rifle. And very important in this deck because of course it is free when you attach it to a soldier, especially the Hydra Soldier or Fixer. And it has long arms, so you can equip your character with range and +2 attack while making a range attack. And since it has burst fire, you may pay any green power symbol and double the -1/-1 counters on an enemy character. So very powerful indeed. And at the same time, again, we will show you the 4 copies of the Mega Machine component. You have this in your invention stacks, but then it's also accessible in your deck. And each one is one of a kind, and at the same time has power drain depending on the condition or state of your opponent's characters. So when they recover, put a -1/-1 counter on it. For the second drop, when they ready, put a -1/-1 counter on it. For the third drop, okay, when they appear, put a -1/-1 counter on it. And finally for the fourth drop, when an enemy character exhausts, put a -1/-1 counter on it. So imagine if you can have 2 of these sets of Omega Machine components out in play, and wow, it will spell trouble to your opponent. And we also have 1 copy of the Nullifier. So I think everyone knows Ultimate Nullification by this time. You also have a 2-drop Cosmic Cube to remove those nasty cards from your opponent's deck. So most especially of course a Dark Phoenix, ang Agamotto. Those are some of the cards that you will really want to remove from your opponent's deck early in the game. And of course we have Serpent Crown to grab or snatch an opposing enemy supporting character. Okay, so since those are the equipment, now we go to our plot twist. And for our plot twist, of course we have 4 copies of Spin Master. And this hammer stamp plot twist lets you double the -1/-1 counters on each enemy character. So once you play this, so very powerful for this particular deck. And for defense, we also have 4 copies of Shock to the System. And Shock to the System, of course, provides you with a means for an attacker to get a -3 attack penalty during any combat. So we have 4 copies of Shock to the System, one of the more staple generic defense cards in the game. And finally, we also have our locations, and we only have 12 of them in your deck. First, of course, we have 4 copies of Academy, and Academy is very important in this deck because you need to use them for the thrill of experimentation. And you also have 4 copies of Training Ground, and Training Ground provides you with those skill or red-based power symbol, and most especially used for Mystics, Mutant Palm, and also for the Femme Fatale Vipers poison, okay, poison darts. And you can also use them for your 2-drop Cosmic Cube. So red is also very usable in this particular deck. And finally, you have 4 copies of your wild location, and those are 4 copies of the H.A.M.M.E.R HQ, which of course provides you with a blue, yellow, or green, or red power symbol for any H.A.M.M.E.R character. So make sure just to attach those Hydra Rifle to your H.A.M.M.E.R character, like Dark Beast or Mystic, so that you're able to use those green power symbol for your burst fire. And so that's it. These are the complete deck components of our Techno Flair or Dark Beast deck. So up next, we're going to show you a sample gameplay of how the Techno Flair deck will work. Okay, so for the last part of our video, we're going to show you a sample gameplay on how, okay, the Dark Beast Techno Flair deck actually runs. Okay, so we'll try to shuffle our deck first, and we're going to give you a good shuffling in order for us to, of course, get as random, okay, gameplay as possible, and see if this actual deck will work in an actual tournament. So bear with me on this. I'm a little bit sick, but then we have to create this video because a lot of followers are clamoring for me to show you how Dark Beast will be usable in any PS2 PCG tournament. Okay, so now we're going to shuffling our deck to make it very random. Okay, so it'll take a while. I'm a little bit slow because of I'm just under the weather, but then again, it's just dedication to this game that we are, okay, getting up and trying to give you a good episode for this particular deck. So now we have already shuffled it consistently, so we're just getting some of the final components, and now we're done. Okay, so now we're going to cut this deck in just like in BPL. We're going to go cut it into 3. So let's say we try this time 3, 1, and 2. So let's see if we will have a good draw and there's no need for mulligan anymore. So we have a Hydra Soldier. Oh, we have a Nullifier. We have Spin Master. We have Mystic. Okay, that's good. Oh, we have a Hammer. And we have a Viper. And finally, we have a Red. Okay, a Training Ground. See? So that's good. So now let's say if you want to go first, we'll try to roll the dice and see if we're able to go first. And we're going to bring out our counter or token box, so that we're going to really use a lot of tokens here. So let's say I want to go even. If I want to go first and even, yes, okay, so I get to go first. Okay, so now we're going to play your training ground on your resource row, and we're going to play, of course, Hydra Soldier. But if you're up against a swarm, of course, against a swarm opponent, then you can also opt to play Mystic first. Why? Because of course you want to get rid of those Outriders as early as possible and put a wound on each one of them. So it says here, the Emperor in Mystic is in your front row, so you have to put her in your front row. Then end your turn and play Mystic. KO her and you put a one counter on all of your opponents in the front row. Okay. So no XP for Dark Beast yet. So your opponent actually gets a play, puts a resource, at the same time he gets to maybe put a character in play. It's up to you. It will depend. Okay. But then if he ends his turn, now you draw 2 cards. Oh, and you have a Mega Machine component and you have a Hammer HQ. Okay, so now you put your second Hammer, HQ on your resource row, and you put in a Hydra Soldier. If there's any surviving supporting character, and you can put a -1/-1 counter on it. It's okay. Then your opponent now plays, okay, and ends his turn, and now you go to your third turn. See, now you have a Fixer and you have Serpent Crown. Okay, you put in your Hammer HQ and you put or you recruit Fixer into the game. So since you have already 2 soldiers in your side, then Fixer can put a -2/-2 counter on each of your opponent's surviving supporting character. And if they still survive, you want, then you can now put Spin Master into play and double the -1/- counter on each enemy character. But then again, you don't have any XP yet, a little bit slow on this particular draw. So your opponent plays, you may get to stun this, may get to stun Fixer, it's okay. Just try to simulate an actual gameplay. Now you have a Cosmic Cube and you have a red, okay? For this particular deck, of course, you really need to have a very good risk factor in this part, okay? So you can now put Cosmic Cube on Dark Piece, and you can now put no, you just have to hold on to your Nullifier, then pay the red so that can actually remove any set of any set of cards from your opponent's deck. So going to your opponent's 4th turn, it's a bit slow on this, but then if your Cosmic Cube is able to survive, then you gain 1 XP for your Dark Beast. So again, your XP condition is Dark Scientist, so at the end of your turn, Dark Beast gains XP equal to the total cost of equipment on your side. So let's say if we can draw in on those Ambusher. No, there's still no Ambusher. So quick drop, then you can now drop in your Viper. So Viper enables you to put a -1/- counter on up to 2 enemy characters. Now I have a misplay here, to be honest, because we should have played Hammer HQ instead of the red, so that you're able to put again -1/- counters on up to 2 enemy characters. Then at the same time, at the end of your turn, double the -1/- counters on each enemy character. So going further, now you have 2 XP. Still, we haven't seen those Ambushers or Isabel yet. I hope we can already draw them. Still none. But then, if you're going to on your 6th drop, then you will be forced to play Omega Machine Component just the same, and maybe you can put a Nullifier on your deck, okay? That's better. And at the same time, okay, we're going to try to get to draw. Okay, so we have Shackle System and a Fixer. Now this particular style of draw is not really good. Okay, so maybe this may fetch you a loss. It's one of those days when you see you're not feeling well, and I think your draw emanates or reflects on those particular shuffle. So we will try to do it again one more time. Let's see if we can really get a good feel on the Dark Beast Techno Flair deck. See, so we will try to shuffle this again 3 times. Let's see if we can actually get a good draw this time. So now let's try to cut it. 1, 2, and 3. So this time I'm going to go 2, 1, 3. Okay. Let's try to draw again. Okay, so 1, the Maker. 2, Shock to the System. 3, 4. Hydra Assault Rifle and Academy. We have Spin Master, and we have Fixer, and we have the Mutant Bomb. Okay, so let's try to go second this time. Okay, so for us to get a more draw. Okay, that's good. Now we have Training Ground and we have Hammer HQ. So let's try to place in Hammer HQ, play on Mystic again, and try to bomb your opponent away. Okay, that's good. Your opponent now goes to his first turn. Then he finishes. If he gets stunned, it's no problem. We'll try to just cover him and put a wound on Dark Beast. But remember, he only has 5 wounds, so 5 health, so very susceptible So very aggressive deck. Now, we're going to our second turn. Let's try to go to our second turn. So we have Serpent Crown and we have Spin Master, so it's good. So now we're going to try to play the red, put in Fixer in play, give that -1/-1 counter on enemy supporting character, and since he's a soldier, now you can play your Hydra Assault Rifle for free. It's much possible if you can protect your Fixer, of course, much better. If you are able to attack, get a possible nick on your opponent, then you can do that. So if you end your turn, your opponent now gets the third turn, and same time he try to attack your Dark Beast. It's up to you. But if not, but of course these are two character cards that have Techno Genius. It's much possible you really want to protect them. Okay, so you can also use Shock to the System in order to, of course, defend your Dark Beast or Fixer. And if it's able to survive, then of course Dark Beast gains 1 XP, and at the same time you are able to draw 2 cards. 2 extra cards. Okay, that's good. And now you go to your main draw phase. This is what I like, okay? Because now you have your H.A.M.M.E.R. So you play your Academy, and now you try to play Black Dwarf. Let's see if we can fetch a good equipment. Okay, that's good. Now you have an Omega Machine component. So you need 6 cards to be revealed, and now you have the Omega Machine component. Okay? Now put or shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Okay. And it goes to your hand. So you have only 1 more resource left, but again, you can't do much about it. If there's an opponent that has any -1/-1 counter, now must be the good time to use Spin Master, one for Spin Master, in order to double those -1/-1 counters and at least lower down your opponent's potential attack rating so that you're able to survive your characters. Now, if it goes to his 4th turn, then of course he's able to attack Black Dwarf, get stunned, then you can still recover him because of his tough keyword. But at the same time, if you're going after your Dark Beast, then all you have to do, of course, is try to protect him with your second Shock to the System. That's good. Okay, then if he ends his turn, then you have 2 XP, and you draw 2 more cards because of your Dark Beast and Fixer's Techno Genius, and you're able to get Black Dwarf and Training Ground again, and draw 2 more cards during your main draw phase. And now, this is where the fun begins, okay? You put in your Training Ground, and you try to play H.A.M.M.E.R. And now you can play your Omega Machine component. Much better now because he's well protected, or it's well protected because of that H.A.M.M.E.R. Okay? So now that you have 2 XP and you have just 2 equipment on your deck, now it's time for you to do some swinging. If not, then you can do some protecting. If you're able to, if the opponent plays on his turn, put those -1/-1 counters on it. Okay? Then it's his turn, so let's say your Black Dwarf gets KO'd, your Dark Beast now gets stunned, it's okay. But then if they can go to your Fixer and your H.A.M.M.E.R, then still get to draw 2 cards. So 1 card extra for that Fixer, and now you have for that Hydra Assault Rifle. So going to your 5 drop, It's up to you if you want to go on for those winnings. Okay. The goal here is to survive until you get to the maker and of course to your Magneto. So let's see if we can still put in black truck again. 1, 2, okay, cosmic cube, that's good. 3, 4, 5. Oh, Nullifier, so that's good. Okay, so it's a choice between cosmic cube and Nullifier. But I would rather go for cosmic cube since we have a fixer in play. By the way, you already have 4 XP because of Dark Beast, having 2 equipments on this side. And now we go to get to place our cosmic cube here. And we can also use that one remaining to put in a Hydra Soldier. So again, you are able to put 2 -1 counters on an opponent. Supporting character, use Spin Master, try to control the board state, but then you have to play the Cosmic Cube on your main phase in order for you to, of course, be able to remove those particular nasty cards like Dark Phoenix or your Gilgamesh from your opponent's deck. Okay, now since you already have a very good board state here, as you can see, if you're able to survive Black Dwarf, then you can get this remove him again. Then if Dark Beast gets stunned or still doesn't get any XP, okay, then your Hydra Soldier can get stunned, but then you already have a Cosmic Cube and a Mega Machine component. Okay, so now you get to draw 3 additional cards because of Hydra Fixer. Then you are also able to draw 2 more cards during your draw phase. Then that's better. Now during your 6th drop, you can play the Maker, or if you like, you can also play Mystic together with a Fixer, or but your Fixer is still there, but then already have a Mega Machine component into play, put in a Mystic, or what you can do here is play Viper because she's a little bit bigger. Then you can now play the red in order to put those -1/-1 counters on up to 2 enemy characters. If they're big, little bit big enough, then you can play Spin Master. Okay. Then, well, what you can do here, is, of course, is try to protect your Dark Beast. But then again, you're probably already controlling the board state. Then going to our 6th turn, again, let's say it gets stunned. This one gets stunned. Okay, your Fixer gets stunned. It's okay, it's okay. So start of your turn, draw 2 cards. Now we're talking. So now that you have this, you can now put one of your Mystic here. Then now play your Shadow King, okay? And Shadow King, of course, will be played on Sin-War Manager, so that you're well protected on this. Problem here, of course, if your opponent plays Electro or similar cards like Yondu, but then again, we'll try to get the best of this, okay? Now, going on your 7th drop, still your Dark Beast gets stunned. It's okay. Now let's try to look at the final round, because you're going to lose if you're not able to play this. So let's go to our 8th drop. And out comes, of course, Magneto. So Magneto lets you look for a particular card in your equipment in your deck. First, it lets you KO an equipment from your opponent's side. Then you can look for a particular equipment on your deck. So let's say we go for the biggest Mega Machine component. And also one in your KO pile. So since you only have Hydra Assault Rifle, that's better. But then once you drop in Magneto, all equipment are now free, regardless of their affiliation. Or play your Mega Machine component. You play your Hydra Assault Rifle. And of course, you now get to play another Assault Rifle if there's still room for it. Let's say you can play it here on Magneto himself to maximize. And of course, the Serpent Crown. So you grab the biggest character on your opponent's side, most especially the one with stealth, and put your Dark Piece at the back row to protect them. So remember now that you have 3 machine components, Omega Machine components, whether your opponent's characters exhaust, when they attack, recovers, when they get stunned, or they ready, okay, when they recover, okay, they get those -1/-1 counters. And remember, still have your Shadow King to stun or KO any opponent's supporting character, okay, at the end of your turn. So you're able to grab one of their characters, and at the same time, you are able to KO one of their supporting characters, get to penalize them, and you have a big 2 set of big blockers, okay, in your front row. So if your opponent is, of course, you're able to stall your eventual defeat from your opponent, then now he becomes level 2. And this is where the actual fun really begins. Because now, you're able to draw how many cards? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 additional cards because of Techno Genius. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have H.A.M.M.E.R, you have Maker. Oh, another set of Shadow King. And that will help you control the board. And you have Hydra Soldier. So let's try to play Hydra Soldier here. So you have 9 resource points or recruit points. You play H.A.M.M.E.R, and at the same time, it cannot be attacked in the back row. So this time, you play your Shadow King. And of course, you get to KO most of your opponent's supporting characters at the end of your turn. Protect them with your Shock to the System, and of course your Mega Machine components will now get into play. And at the same time, if you're able to draw an additional 7 cards further, you'll be able to get most of your cards. Okay. 7, so 7 and 8 and 9. So this time you can now play either the Maker, or you can now play your other set of Magneto. But for me, I'm going to the 11th drop, play my yellow location, be able to squeeze in those -1/-1 counters on your opponent. Okay, so now you can use the Maker to invent those additional Omega Machine components and still have 5 resource. Okay, what you can do is put in Mystic, put in Black Dwarf, another set of Hydra Soldier for those -1/-1 counters, and of course X-Ray. And by that time, you're able to draw all your component, all of your cards in your deck, and at the same time, you're able to get an additional set of Mega Machine components. See? Then now you can play those additional set. Play Isabel. Okay, so that's it. Now this is the Techno Flair deck. So before we go, of course, we'd like to thank all our sponsors for this particular video. First, we'd like to thank all our friends from the BS2PCG Collective. Thank you very much to Mr. Benjamin Brosin and Mr. Joe Pitelli, and also Mr. Danny Privet and all the great guys at the BS2PCG Collective. And of course, we'd like to thank all our sponsors from Build Face League USA. So Build Face, Build a Better Turn. This is run by some of our great friends, Mr. Ben and Mr. Joe, the Human Torch Pitelli. And of course, we'd like to thank our official sponsors for this particular episode. We'd like to thank Virtual Mall Philippines, and Virtual Mall Philippines is one of the newest online shopping app here in Manila or in the Philippines. So Virtual Mall Philippines, you can go to the Google Play Store and try to download the app, or try to go to our official website at www.vmphilippines.com. And we also like to thank our other sponsors like H.A.M.M.E.R, so your 4-stage water ultra purification device. So it's so compact, this water treatment system can fit right into your sink. So again, if you like to have safe drinking water at home without the need to buy those big blue bottled waters, okay, being provided by all those water stations that they're not really sure of how clean they are, then try to inquire about H.A.M.M.E.R. And we also like to thank our official venues, and that is, okay, of course, Fort Chavy Place. And Fort Chavy Place is located at 0070, okay, that is along Naga Road in Pulanlupa 2, Las Piñas City, Philippines. And finally, we have our second venue for our BS2PCG tournaments, and that is H.A.M.M.E.R Apartments. And H.A.M.M.E.R Apartments is located at number 24 Matalino Street in Diliman, Quezon City, Philippines. So once again, guys, this is Mark Iyam, a little bit sick, but still, being able to provide you with the best deck tech that the Philippines can offer. And this is Techno Flair using Dark Beast. So once again, don't forget to like, follow us, and subscribe to us at BS2PCG Deck Forger. And maybe next week, we're going to have another featured deck tech, and that is Go Go Boom! So, Dark Beast now, going to the dark side, and thank you very much for watching this video.